Morning, everyone. Welcome to worship with the community of Westside Unitarian Universalist Church, where compassion leads us to work for justice and equality. I'm glad you're joining for our virtual service today. It is my hope that this gathering will give you your sense of community and connection and nourish your heart, mind, and spirit. This is Sunday, August 23rd. My name is Reverend Frieda Gillespie, and I'm the interim minister here at Westside. Today, Spencer Maxwell will be serving as the worship associate. I want to thank our technology helpers today, including our DLRE, Nikki Kennedy, Amy Stubbs, Donald Kennard, and Janelle Weaver, plus the Westside singers and Charlie Ford for behind-the-scenes music mixing. And of course, Dr. Yamamoto, our wonderful pianist who is joining us today. Let's be sure and share our appreciation with her. Westside is a community of many genders and sexualities, a community of diverse culture and class backgrounds, a community of varied abilities and gifts. While we are physically, we are still together in spirit and in hope. If you are so moved, you can try out the chat feature in today by typing some words of welcome to both members and visitors who are joining us this morning. On behalf of this church community, I want to say to everyone, welcome. Today's order of service is a PDF, and you'll see the link in the group chat. And I'm glad we can stay connected during these times. Of course, remote worship is not ideal, but it gives us the opportunity to come together each week. Westside is not about the place, it's about the people. The main thing is simply the opportunity to be present and connect together as the Westside community. So don't worry if you don't have the order of service. As always, please continue to watch your email inbox for the Westside Weekly Forward on Fridays and the Afterward on Tuesdays, the church website and our Facebook page for updates on church programs and opportunities as well. You can also stick around after our service ends today if you would like to join us for our virtual coffee hour. So now I invite you to take a deep breath. And from wherever you are, settle into the sacred space that we create together each week. Now let us worship together as we listen to this morning's prelude. Wow. Our opening words this morning are from Jan Carlson Bull. Love is knotted and gnarled, like an old tree fighting with the wind, like branches too brittle for their own good, like roots that relentlessly inform how deeply we can trust and how freely we can forgive. Our Chalice Song is number 389, Gathered Here.
the chalice lighting first? I have a video. Sorry.
I'm
Technical
sorry.
difficulties. All right.
It's lovely. And now we'll do our Chalice Song, Gathered Here.
I invite you to join me in reciting the affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Our opening hymn is number 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song. Let's sing along with some of Westside's choir members. Our joys and concerns this morning will be delivered by Christina Sellers.
Good morning, everyone. We have we have a joy submitted via email. I think our care and support form might be down right now, so if you do have a joy or concern, send it via email to pastoralcare@westside. What's our westsideu.org? I can't remember our email anymore. Sorry. While we check and make sure that that web form is working. So As we share our joys with others, those joys are multiplied. As we share our concerns, our community can offer its care. Let's see here. We have a concern from Tom and Leela Woods. Our dear friend in Denver had a very serious biking accident. He is awaiting surgery and looking toward a long and painful recovery. Please keep him in your thoughts. We will do that, Tom and Leela. I have a joyful announcement from the worship team. The worship team wants to remind everyone to save the date, August 30th, to meet in the West Side parking lot at 2:30 for a parade to welcome Reverend Frieda and her wife Jennifer. Watch your emails and Friday forwards for all the details. Let's all safely celebrate the future of our fellowship in this fun and friendly way, August 30th. Save the date. I have a joy. Oh, I'm not sure who this one came from. Joe Biden gave us a message of hope that together we can build a better world. Go, Joe and Kamala. Let me see who that one came from. It came through the chat, I know. Let's see. That one was from Wendy Casper. Thank you, Wendy. From Yuki, we have a joy. I am finally married, y'all. Congratulations. This is something that I thought would never happen to me, so I am surprised at myself. But I'm very happy and so honored to call my favorite human being, Bert, my husband and family. Congratulations. That's fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna see if we have any other in the chat. Let's see, that is all I am seeing in the chat right now. I'm just gonna give it a minute to see if anyone else. Here we go, from Karen Moore, we have a concern. My friend Sharon lost her nephew Kyle last week. He was only 37 years old and we do not know the cause of death yet. He leaves behind his 10-year-old daughter, Carter. Wow. I'm so sorry to hear that, Karen. All right, I do believe that may be all that we have this morning. Thank you all for submitting the joys and concerns, and please do let us know if you would need an ear. We are here for you.
Thank you for sharing those with us. Let us also call into our circle of care this morning all for whom we may be concerned. Please feel free to write any additional names in the chat and I will simply call their names. We call into our circle of care the loss of a parent, the parent of a young child. Sharing draws our community closer together. Please know that our pastoral care associates are available to support you with deep listening and when needed through our InReach Fund or short-term financial support of members in need. We are here for you.
This morning's centering song is number 123, Spirit of Life. Sing along, or if you prefer to simply listen, that's okay too.
Sing in my
On the wings of this music, I invite you to join me in a time of meditation. Each week here at Westside, we open our hearts to those in our community who know both joy and challenges, and to all suffering beings. In a moment, we'll go into a minute of silence. Let our hearts be full of love as we share in the joys among this community, particularly Yuki's great joy in her marriage. Let our spirits reach out in compassion to all who know sorrow as well, offering a loving presence to those in pain. Help us to forgive those who have hurt us, even wounded us deeply. Let us remember our frailty and our strength. Letting go, we will find new freedom and release from the hatred that keeps us captive to our grief. Let us let go and trust life to hold us gently and surely in loving arms.
Westside has a long tradition of reaching out to the wider community in generosity. You'll find guidance in the order of service, the chat, and in the afterword about 3 different causes to support and how you can give. In addition to giving online through our donation webpage or mailing a check to the church, you can now use the Give Plus app available through the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Thank you to all who are continuing to pay towards your pledge for the church, which is keeping our mission going in this time when spiritual community and support is so needed. We have also provided information about directly supporting community organizations like South Central Alliance of Churches. Now we'll hear a gift of piano music from recently married Dr. Yuki Kumamoto, while members make a gift or contribute to your pledge. Thank you for your generosity.
My sermon today is called Forgiveness. And it starts with a story by one of my favorite authors, poets, Lauren Isley. He was a biologist, naturalist, poet, and essayist. And he wrote many great essays about his observations of nature. Here's one of the best, what I like the best. It's called The Judgment of the Birds. I have said that I saw a judgment upon life and that it was not passed by men. Those who stare at birds in cages or who test minds by their closeness to our own may not care for it. It comes from far away out of my past, in a place of pouring waters and green leaves. I shall never see an episode like it again if I live to be 100, nor do I think that 1 man in a million has ever seen it, because man is an intruder into such silences. The light must be right and the observer must remain unseen. No man sets up such an experiment. What he sees by chance. You may put it that I had come over a mountain, that I had slogged through the fern and pine needles for half a long day, and that on the edge of a little glade, with one long crooked branch extending across it, I had sat down to rest with my back against a stump. Through accident, I was concealed from the glade, although I could see into it perfectly. The sun was warm there, and the murmurs of forest life blurred softly away into my sleep. When I awoke, dimly aware of some commotion and outcry in the clearing, the light was slanting down through the pines in such a way that the glade was like some vast cathedral. I could see the dust motes of wood pollen in the long shaft of light. And there on the extended branch sat an enormous raven with a red and squirming nestling in his beak. The sound that awoke me was the outraged cries of the nestling's parents, who flew helplessly in circles around the clearing. The sleek black monster was indifferent to them. He gulped, wetted his beak on the dead branch a moment, and sat still. Up to that point, the little tragedy had followed the usual pattern. But suddenly, out of all that area of woodland, a soft sound of complaint began to rise. Into the glade fluttered small birds of half a dozen varieties, drawn by the anguished outcries of the tiny parents. No one dared to attack the raven, but they cried there in some instinctive common misery, the bereaved and the unbereaved. The glade filled with their soft rustling and their cries. They fluttered as though to point their wings at the murderer. There was a dim, intangible ethic he had violated, that they knew he was a bird of death. And he, the murderer, the black bird at the heart of life, sat on there, glistening in the common light, formidable, unmoving, unperturbed, untouchable. The sighing died. It was then I saw the judgment. It was the judgment of life against death. I will never see it again so forcefully presented. I will never hear it again in notes so tragically prolonged. For in the midst of protest, they forgot the violence. There in that clearing, the crystal note of a song sparrow lifted hesitantly in the hush. And finally, after painful fluttering, another took the song, and then another, the song passing from one bird to another, doubtfully at first, as though some evil thing were being slowly forgotten, till suddenly they took heart and sang from many throats joyfully, as birds are known to sing. They sang because life is sweet and sunlight beautiful. They sang under the brooding shadow of the raven. In simple truth, they had forgotten the raven, for they were the singers of life and not of death. End of the story. This story is meaningful to me because it mirrors something that happened to me. When I was growing up, I accumulated a lot of pain and resentment toward my mother, who seemed incapable of loving me. This is an old and not uncommon story. The way I dealt with this was to hold on to the pain, and I used it as a reason or excuse not to thrive. I came to realize this was a kind of revenge for how I was treated. I'll show her how much she hurt me. I won't be happy, and I won't make a good life for myself. After all, how could I, after being held in so much contempt and having been so neglected emotionally? This is what I thought, not necessarily consciously, but it is how I behaved. Even when I was aware of this, I couldn't let the resentment go. This went on for much of my early adult years, and it was a drain on my energy and creativity. I tried many ways to let go of the resentment. Talk therapy, affirmations, meditations, common sense, nothing made a real difference. Or perhaps all of the efforts made a little bit of difference that added up over time. Perhaps it was because in my 40s, I began to take responsibility for my emotional life. I stopped looking to my past to correct my present. Little by little, I let go and was more and more able to free up my energy to create a good life. Once I focused on my work as a minister and the friends I made along the way, I found much happiness. I didn't realize that I had gotten rid of my resentment until one day I realized it was simply gone and my life was a lot freer. When we are injured in a relationship, it can be very difficult to forgive and forget. I know from my own experience how hard it is to let go of pain and resentment. I think that one factor that actually helps is gaining some understanding of our abuser. It is harder to let go if we believe the person who hurt us had a choice, could have treated us properly. Being verbally and emotionally abused can leave us with the question of whether or not we were at fault for making the abuser angry and frustrated. Did we do something to deserve the treatment they gave us? Were we somehow deficient? Was the assessment of the abuser right? Were we stupid, neglectful, undermining of their efforts? Ironically, what we imagine we did wrong is often what the abuser actually did. By learning about the patterns of abuse, we can let go of the belief that we were the cause. If only we were more loyal, more supportive, smarter, kinder, etc. My mother didn't love me because I was unlovable, but because she was incapable of loving herself or anyone else. By learning about how verbally abusive people and in relationships work, we can begin to take back our power, our real power, the power to discern the truth about ourselves and the other. This is personal power and distinct from power over others, which is always the goal of the verbal and emotional abuser. Patterns of toxic anger and manipulation can occur in relationships between parishioners and their ministers. It's really important to be able to discern the different ways people can try and dominate, whether they have an agreed upon position of power or not. Work that has been done around verbally abusive relationships can be very useful in this discernment. Patricia Evans has written a great deal about it in her book, The Verbally Abusive Relationship. When ministers are abusive and domineering, they make it impossible for congregants to thrive. They create division and conflict in a congregation, and congregation members feel and confusion about what is happening and why. When an abusive minister leaves the congregation, ministers feel relief. They feel freed from some very unhealthy cycles of conflict without resolution. But then comes the hard work of discernment, the what happened. That's very important work and can yield a lot of insight, especially when others add their stories to yours. Abusive people work in secret, and uncovering the ways in which we are abused is a huge part of healing. We can also discern the untruths about ourselves. When abused by your minister, you are not the problem. The abusive person may never change, may never even see that they can change, that they are the problem in the relationship. You are not responsible to heal them. You are only responsible for yourself. As far as forgiveness goes, we can forgive ourselves for allowing someone else to befuddle us into believing we are damaged. We can forgive the abuser for their need for superiority and fear of inferiority. After doing this work and seeing ourselves more clearly, then we can turn our attention to what we really want, to creating a thriving, dynamic church. Once we've had enough time to grieve lost opportunities and misunderstandings, we can, like the songbirds, turn our attention to life itself and all that it promises to us. We can sing a song of life. And speaking of singers of life, I want you to know how much I appreciate your life-giving ideas and initiatives. The Zoom gatherings, the discussion groups, the many ways you love to get together and who care about each other. I really love being here in shared ministry with you. May it be so. Our closing hymn is number 346, Come Sing a Song with Me.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. I might know your mind. And I bring you home when home is hard to find. And I bring a song of love that works in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when home is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that works in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when home is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that lives in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when home is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that lives in the winter time.
Our closing words come to us from Rebecca Parker. Choose to bless the world. The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. It is an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. None of us alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility waiting.
Please join me in the congregational closing. Let us go in peace, believe in peace, and create peace in our lives and in the world. May it be so.
May it be so. Blessed be. Ashe.
And if you'd like to participate in our virtual coffee hour, Please stay on the call and you'll be placed into a breakout room with several other people. Please be mindful of our congregational covenant, welcome newcomers, and give everyone an equal chance to participate in conversation. Coffee hour will end around 11:40 this morning. Thank you for being here.